Yay. Hello, folks. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday night. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Happy new moon in Gemini. Just getting this rolling a little bit. Um, this is always the place where I notice what my hair is doing, what's behind me. Right before I hit live, I noticed that I had a giant thing of dirt on my face from lighting the smudge. So while folks are coming in, I'm just gonna light us a little more sage. I think this is how I got dirt on my face the first time. I love the smell of sage. Back when I was a young witch living in New York City, sometimes the city got so overwhelming to me that I carried a bag of dried sage around with me. I carried it around my neck in a little medicine bag. And whenever the city got too overwhelming or I got flustered or I was feeling stressed, I would just inhale the scent of the bag of sage, and it really, really calmed me. Yay. So if you're coming in, just say hi. Tell me where you are. Tell me, what the magic is that you do in the world. Maybe why you're here. And maybe then you can also use this thread to make connections, hopefully after our work together tonight. So just drop a line and tell us who you are and what magic you do in the world. Of course, I just got something in my eye. What magic you do in the world. And notice who else is in here and say hi. This is one of the weirdo community spaces that we have right now. And one of my intentions right now is just to really keep being a conduit and a connector for other women and heart-centered men who are out in the world and who are looking for ways to connect and to join together to create something new. So please say your name. Well, obviously we'll see your name, but please say who you are and where you're tuning in from and what the magic is that you do in the world in the chat box. And my intention is really that you guys look at who else is in this room with us, this space, this tiny circle that we're creating tonight, and use it to connect with each other. Please no spamming each other or being douchey, you know what I mean, but please do connect with each other because that's part of what this new moon is asking us to do. So I would love for you to use this space to do that. Hi, Anne. Anne is from one of my OG sister communities. And it's so good. I mean, like 15 years ago, even 16 longer. And it's so good to see you here, Anne. So I'm going to leave you guys to post your the magic that you do in the world and where you are in the chat boxes as you come in, please. And this is, as I said before, this is a really aligned exercise for this new moon, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes. So just as you come in, drop into that chat box and say who you are, what magic you do in the world, why you're here tonight. I also always love hearing if working with the cycles of the moon is something that you're already practicing, or if this is brand new, or if you've never even heard about it and you're like, what the hell is this woman talking about? Moon, business, and maybe you just came for fun to see what the hell I was talking about. So an introduction to this work is that the new moon, the 3 nights where the moon is dark in the sky, you can't see the moon, is called the new moon. And people like me look at the new moon as a time to sort of pause and reset. It's like a giant reset button on your life. The new moon is traditionally a time where we're just slightly more introverted and inwardly focused in comparison to the full moon. The full moon has a much more like effusive, outgoing, externally focused energy, whereas the new moon is a time more of turning inward and reflection. So this is a great time if you are working with the moon in your business. This is a really great built-in time to reflect, to start a new cycle or a focus, to let go of what didn't work last month and to refocus on new goals, intentions, concentrations, focal points. And it's really, really important to me to have this time to kind of pulse take or evaluate, because as entrepreneurs, as creatives, as business owners, as visionaries and luminaries, we can get really, really caught up and stuck in what didn't happen, what didn't work, what we didn't get to. And working with the moon gives you a pause. It gives you a structure to pause within, to actually flex the muscle of what did happen and what achievements are to be noticed and what celebrations there are. And that's really important, because the more you look for that stuff, the more you see it, and you actually train your brain to see celebrations and achievements instead of just the things that you didn't do, the things that you didn't get to, etc. The new moon in particular is a great time to plant the seed of an intention, which you can revisit and assess both at the next full moon, which is in 2 weeks from tonight, and 6 months later at the corresponding full moon. So for instance, tonight is the new moon in Gemini, and 6 months from now in November will be the full moon in Gemini, which will also be a potent lunar eclipse. So that will be, if you start to look at your calendar by the phases of the moon and astrological signs, there are all these cool meanings and ways that you can work with that kind of guide your, obviously tonight we're focusing on sort of more on business focus, but they guide your self-evolution. They give you marking points. They give you themes and topics. They give you areas of focus and concentration that are really neat. The reason that I work with the moon cycles in my business and that I teach my clients to, just making sure that my leg doesn't catch on fire, is that I go at a breakneck speed pretty much all of the time, and I get very stuck in action taking and in doing. And I often forget or avoid time to just be and time to stop moving. It's very, very hard for me to stop moving. And it's unhealthy to be moving all of the time. It really is. Not only is it unhealthy, but when you're running all the time, you're not evolving in the same way. You don't have the options or the opportunities to evolve in the same way, because you're not doing the processing and the evaluating and the inner work that really leads to growth. And that's very, very important to me. So I love working with the cycles of the moon, because it actually gives me marking points in my calendar that give me time to pause, to reflect, to breathe, to recalibrate or rebalance, to make sure that my schedule is aligned with my priorities at any given time, to make sure that my schedule is aligned with my needs and my focus, and above and beyond everything, to reconnect with my intuition and nurture my magical practice, which is very, very important to me. My definition of magic is the art and science of changing energy. And when we learn how to change energy, even if it's just about learning how to change your mood when you're in a bad mood, or learning how to refocus and recalibrate when something bad happens or stressful happens, that is magic. That is changing energy at its most basic level. This practice, working with the moon, really helps me to get off of autopilot and gives me space to reassess and refocus on current priorities instead of staying stuck in reactive mode and unconsciously letting my focus get set for me instead of by me. So thirsty. So that's a little bit about why I work with the new moon in my business, and it's a little bit of background for those of you who are maybe new to the practice. So if you have a candle that you brought, I brought this one. I love this one. It's this big fat gold candle. Take a second here to light it. And the lighting of a candle in magic is about the creation of a sacred space. So as you light it, take a second to consciously leave outside anything else, anything other than this moment and you and your work. And you can use the lighting of the candle to imagine creating a circle around you that just protects you and allows space for this work that you're here for. Whenever I light candles, I like to think about the women who have come before me in circles for hundreds and hundreds of years to light candles. They lit candles in circles of other women to heal, to practice magic, to plan war, to commiserate and support each other, to laugh, to stay warm. So I always like to think about lighting candles as a sacred act that connects me with all the women who came before me in circles and all of the women who will come after me and circle for various reasons. So just put that off to the side. In these Facebook Lives that I do, where we do new moon and full moon work, my intention is to tell you about each new or full moon and help you apply it to your business and your personal evolution. So this new moon, a lot of the things that I was reading in the last few days about the new moon, one of the lines really struck me. And it's funny because we just came off of a three-day retreat for one of my programs, Biz Elementals, where we really talked about, I led my clients in the program through thinking about how they show up in the world and what their message is in terms of what they want to be putting out into the world, and asking them the question, if they were to actually create offerings, products, things from their whole being, not just a facet of their being, but their whole being, what would be different? What would be different if they brought all of who they are into what they're creating in the next year? And so one of the things that I read about Gemini new moon was about being ready for a rebrand or an image refreshing. So this new moon today wants us to think about the messages that we're sending out to the world. Gemini is the star sign that governs communication, friendship, and local affairs. And it also has to do with how you show up in your communities. So your community, you all have multiple communities. You have your family community, you have your social community, you might have your geographical community, your spiritual community, your professional community. At its core, the season of Gemini is about the cross-pollination of ideas. This is what happens when we socialize and we network together, when we build together, when we intermingle, when we fuse new thoughts and ideas while synthesizing new understandings of ourselves, each other, and the world that we inhabit. So areas that you might want to focus on this Gemini new moon and build intentions around might have to do with how you're connecting in and around your business or your work, how you're speaking about your work and getting it seen, thinking about your marketing, your writing, social media posts, the ways that you use all of the above for connecting with people instead of selling to them or talking at them. You might use the new moon in Gemini to think about how you're connecting with and showing up for team, for colleagues, for clients, for anyone who's involved in your professional world. And as you begin to think about that, I'd like to offer you a short meditation that I created on connecting with and sharing your unique self, your work, and your spirit with the world around you. So take a second, and if you have, like when I meditate, I like to hold one of my crystals, and it's usually this one. It's usually this one because this is one of my favorites. It's citrine, and I believe that crystals amplify energy. So whenever I meditate or I pray or I visualize, I like to hold a crystal because I feel like it amplifies it and helps it get out to the world. So if you did bring a crystal, I invite you to grab it. And sometimes I just put it on my lap. Sometimes I actually put it right over my heart in my shirt. Sometimes every once in a while, if I'm doing something where I'm speaking, I'll hold it to my throat chakra. You can decide where it feels best, but wherever it feels best, just give yourself a second to let your eyes float closed and take 3 deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and letting go through your mouth. Put a hand on your belly and a hand on your heart as you do this, and make sure that as you inhale, the hand on your belly is rising. And as you sink deeper into a state of relaxation, giving your body all the signs that it's okay to let go, it's okay to breathe, it's okay to sink into the support of whatever is holding you up right now. Begin to bring your attention to the space right beneath the hand on your belly. So, thinking about right at the base of your womb, if you're a woman, really whatever gender you are or identify with, think about the space about an inch beneath your belly button. And think about breathing into that space right under your hand with big, deep breaths. And imagine that there is a tiny, tiny spark inside that place under your hand, a tiny spark. And as you inhale, you feed it with oxygen and it begins to flicker and grow into a teeny tiny flame, like the flame on a match just before it burns out. Imagine using your breath to grow it to the flame on a match midway between lighting it and burning out. And just keep giving your belly those deep breaths, almost like one of those cool things that blows air into the fire. As you breathe that flame into a flickering flame that's about the size of when you first light a match. And imagine as you breathe into it and make it bigger and bigger, imagine that the flame turns the color or a color that symbolizes who you are in your heart. No judgment. It can be any color you imagine. Don't even think too much about it. Just see it. This is your flame, and it symbolizes who you are, not who you are on the surface, not who you are in different day-to-day situations, but who you really, really are. When you remove all fear, when you remove all blocks, when you remove all fear of judgment, when you remove social pleasantries, give that flame the color of who you really know that you are. And just keep breathing into it as it grows into a very small fire in your belly, filling your belly with the color of the flame that represents you. Breathe it bigger until it even grows out of a flame and it just becomes this gorgeous color that is the essence of you, breathing and having it fill your torso. Imagine that color just filling your torso as it grows and grows, your oxygen and your attention feeding it. Breathe it even bigger until it starts to extend into your chest, through your hips, down your legs, into your arms, this color that is the essence of who you are. Breathing it bigger, having it fill your throat, your head, your lower legs and feet, your arms and hands, until you are just glowing with this color that is the essence of who you are in your heart and soul. And then taking a few more breaths just to extend this color a couple of feet around you in all directions so that you're radiating this gorgeous glowing color that is the essence of who you are in your being. Imagine it extending outwards from you like a bubble. And just give yourself a second to bask in the middle of that glow. remembering that you can operate from this place. This place does not depend on other people. It doesn't depend on how you're treated. It doesn't depend on what's going on in the world. This is who you are. And you can choose to connect with this part of you and act from it and be it all of the time. This has nothing to do with anyone else or anything else. This is just who you are. So taking a few minutes to enjoy this space, remembering that you can come back here at any time you want. And then letting yourself come back to your body, maybe shifting a little in your seat, wiggling your toes and your fingers, letting your eyes float slowly open as you're ready. And coming back. Now, since we're coming to this work tonight from a business perspective, I'd really love to give you space to write down any celebrations from the past month in your work or business life. And I'll move a little bit quickly because you can always come back to this. But making a regular practice of writing down celebrations and wins and places that you are in gratitude is an incredibly magical practice. And I want to really urge you to make this a part of starting your week, ending your week, starting your day, ending your day, because the more you see celebrations and things that you can be in gratitude for, the more you look for them, the more you'll see them. And as I said, it's always an important tool to notice what's happening because our human default mechanism is to notice where we failed, where we fell short, where things didn't happen, where we were disappointed. Now, being that we have a new beginning available to us tonight, and with the new moon's focus on communication, on the cross-pollination of ideas, you have an invitation here tonight to think about the way that you show up in and speak to the world. The way that you show up in and speak to other people, again, clients, colleagues, friends, family. The way that you show up with and speak in your marketing, your social media presence, the ways that you connect with the world that's larger than just your immediate circle. So I want you to think this new moon about what the message is that you want to be communicating right now, not just in your business, but with who you are as a human being in this time and place. What's authentic for you? What do you really care about? What's the change you're invested in seeing in the world? And how are you working for it in your own little corner? Because we're at a time where our society has shifted for better or worse. And a lot of it, none of us have any control over. What you do have control over is your reaction to events and situations, your attitude, what you do with the things that are happening around you and to you. So take a minute tonight under this new moon, in the dark of the moon, to look at what valuable lessons, information, tools you've learned in the past few weeks that you want to apply to either your business or your personal life or both. And then tonight, I urge you to think of a goal or a focus in your business that you'd like to work with from now until the full moon in 2 weeks. And that might be around how you connect with others. It might be around the message that you're sharing in the world or the way that you show up in the world. It might be around the partnerships that you build with people. And then also consider how it would feel to achieve that goal and what intentions you would like to set out to help you carry to that goal. So for example, if your intention or if your goal for the next 2 weeks is to really get clear and authentic with the message that you want to be projecting to the world in your business. Some of the intentions might be that every day you'll find a question to journal around to really get to who you are and what you care about and what you speak to the world. Another intention might be to make regular time to connect with people who really inspire you and who are speaking their own message to the world in a really authentic way. So, those are examples of little ways that you can work towards your goal, with the framework being this new moon in Gemini. And I hope that you'll join me for the full moon in, I actually don't know what the full moon is. And I don't know off the top of my head. It's 2 weeks from now, but I will tell you when our full moon will be, when our full moon Facebook Live will be. And I'll send it out over the newsletter list and also blast it in Tribe of Sacred Rebels. So I hope that you come back for the full moon. I also want to let you know I will be doing a week-long mini program the first week of June, which is coming right up around the corner. It's called the 5-Day Biz Fix. It is an amazing container to work with me for a week and to look at the ways that you're getting. It's a pulse taking. It's a week of pulse taking in your business, looking at how you show up in your business, what's not working, what pillars need to be strengthened to carry you through to your goal for this year. And it's an entire week of really very personalized work with me in group settings. So I'll drop the link in the comments below, but I really hope to see some of you in the 5-Day Biz Fix. It's an amazing week. It's got more than 6 hours of live time with me, 5 hours of live time with me over the week. And it's just a really great event and mini program. So yay, Anne. Anne says it is amazing, and Anne will be there, and I'm so excited. So I'll put that up in the comments. But until then, feel free to come into Tribe of Sacred Biz Rebels and share your new moon intention from tonight. And I really look forward to seeing you back here for the full moon. So thank you so much for joining us.